Okay, so you are the Louis Copeland. So, I mean, first of all, just tell us a little bit about yourself and yeah, sort of what you do.
So I'm Louis. I am a speedrunner. I've been speedrunning for over 10 years now, which is kind of nuts considering I'm only 23. I'm also an actor, and I'm a pretty bloody good bartender, when I say so myself.
A bit off the topic, but what's your like favorite drink to make? If you were gonna serve at the Mega Pizza Plex, if you're gonna serve a drink, what would you serve?
It's got to be a Long Island, right? Got to be a Long Island.
For sure. Let's just get straight into it and into speedrunning. So, with the appeal of speedrunning, I've personally got into speedrunning a little bit over the years, and I just want to know what takes the cake for you within speedrunning. Why do you like it so much, and how did you get into it?
So how I got into it is actually really strange because it started on Star Wars Battlefront 2004. Very different game from Five Nights at Freddy's, which is what I play mostly now. But it started because my dad would always be on the Xbox to a point where he'd be on it all night until when I wake up ready to go to school. And he used to go to bed about 6 o'clock in the morning. And then when I'd come back from school, he'd get back on it, so I wouldn't have any time to play. So I used to get up at 6 o'clock, and that would only give me about 2 hours to play whatever I wanted. And it would result in me trying to beat the entire game because I didn't have a memory card.
That's brilliant. So you just basically, because you had no time to play, you get as much done in a short amount of time as possible.
Yeah, I can only count on my hand the times I did it, where I completed the whole game, and it didn't save. It was less than 2 hours to complete the whole game. I was gassed, and I was like, what, 6, 7 years old? And
Brilliant.
I actually speedrun it still today, and I've beaten that time, I can thankfully say. But that's how I got into speedrunning. So every time it would be every day, consistently, I would do the same thing. To a point where I'd record my times by writing it down on a piece of paper. And then I would try to beat that the next day. My dad, my mum wouldn't even care. They're like, right, you gotta go to school. I was like, I've just beaten this in like this amount of time. That's insane. Yeah. Come on, be happy.
Not like, oh yeah, we're gonna take you somewhere. We're gonna take all the competitions. You know, you're crazy good at this. So
yeah, so I don't even know what the first ever recorded run of that was, but I like to think I did it first, but I didn't. I know I didn't.
6-year-old topping the charts. Love to see it. Okay, so question 2. What impact would you say FNAF had on the speedrunning community? I mean, Security Breach was like immense for FNAF speedrunning, right? And so yeah, what sort of impact would you say it had, especially on FNAF?
It brought a different type of audience to speedrunning because we've had fans of the series for what was 8 years at a time come into this just out of nowhere, and it actually became the quickest game to get on top of SRC as of release. So obviously the game released on, well, I can't remember what day it was, but it got on top of the charts on SRC within a day because it had over 1,000 runs submitted in the first week. So me coming onto the team, it was insane.
Yeah, and it was like really broken on launch. I think that's what made people get into it so much. The fact that speedrunning was getting popular with other games, sort of 2020 with things like Minecraft, and then this came out, and there was this. I remember this run where you could beat it in about 3 minutes or something. You get the Vanny ending, and yeah, I remember people using that a lot, and yeah, there was so many people. And even like tutorials on how to beat Security Breach in like 3 minutes or something. It was really crazy within the first week, definitely, and then obviously they patched a lot of things. How would you say it differs to now? Like, is it still as can you beat it as quickly? I'm not really up to date with it at the moment. Do you beat it? Do people still beat it in good time or?
Yeah, it's obviously not as broken as it was at launch, which is a shame because I think the game was it was perfect for speedrunning, but I don't think Stillwell enjoyed everyone taking the mick out of their game. So they literally fixed everything. I believe there was a YouTuber streamer that actually worked with them to tell them majority of the skips that that were present in the game, and the mod team were like, oh, I can't believe this, but you know what, they were doing what they were told. It's good on them, I respect that, but like it really made the community be like, oh, the game's not as fun anymore. Don't get me wrong, the game is still broke. It's still broke. We've found some ridiculous stuff.
It's still a buggy mess, but it's just they removed the main ones, like the skips and stuff. Like you can still get randomly like jump scared or something, or still like break your character. They didn't fix the bad bugs. They only fixed the good bugs.
Yeah, I mean you can still beat the game fairly quickly, but probably not what the world record is on 1.4, which is like what 2 minutes something now.
I don't even know what my quickest run was, but no way near as that. It's really crazy that they put so much time and effort into games like this, and then someone just goes and beats them in like 2 minutes. And
the game was in development for like ages, and I remember seeing all the trailers. I was like, wow, this game looks so good.
Push back, and it just got dropped and beaten in 2 minutes. Brilliant. So to turn that on itself, really, what impact did speedrunning have on FNAF as a whole, not just Security Breach? Would you say it attracted more people to the game? And really, people didn't speedrun FNAF before Security Breach, I don't think. And then when Security Breach came out, people went back to, even though they're fixed games, like there's charts for like FNAF 1, 2, 3, right? So how do you feel it had on like the wider games?
Well, obviously it brought over an audience of people that are into mascot horror games. It also brought over people from Outlast, brought people in from Super Mario 64, which is insane to see. There are currently, I think, 600 different people running the game. Wow. So we got people coming from all different sorts of regions of speedrunning, but it's one of those games that is easy to pick up. So
yeah, definitely.
It's very beginner friendly, and once people saw that, oh, like, this is actually kind of fun to break and mess about with, let's go back and look at the other games. And we've actually found some really impressive strategies for the previous games. It sounds stupid, I know, because they're fixed games, you got a timer, but there are some skips to save time. We're talking seconds of time. It's not big, but
that's everything in speedrunning, right? There's just a fraction of a second is like a whole world of difference. So I mean, a strategy is a strategy, right? So
yeah, people like myself, I went back and speedran all the games, minus FNAF World. We don't talk about that. That run is broke. That run is actually really popular still. I think there's 20 people running it right now.
So are they still popular, like the speedrun in the old games? Is that something that people consistently try to beat again and again on a daily, or is it sort of died down a bit now, do you think?
I think fnafsb has died down a bit because there's not a lot going on. The threshold has been hit for now. But with FNAF 2, I've been noticing a lot of people submitting runs for that, which is really strange to see, considering I think it's the easiest one. But
and is it full game? Is it like Golden Freddy mode as well, like the 1020 mode, or is it just nights 1 to 5? I mean, there's different categories, right?
There are different categories. So you got 1 star, 2 star, 3 star. So obviously 1 star is just beating it on 5 nights, you know what I mean? 2 star, 6 nights, 7 star, 3 star, 7 nights. I believe that is the only modes in it. I can't remember, but if people really want to challenge, we got FNAF Saga, which is where you do every single game in a row. There's only been one person to do it.
That is ridiculous.
One person's done it, and that is with fnafsb and Ruin.
So how is Ruin then? Are people still doing Ruin a lot, or not so much? Because that's fairly new.
It wasn't as popular as SB on release, but it is still broken. It's more linear, so you can't really do as much with linear horror games unless you find some insane OOBs, which a lot of the community did. Like, we found this one where when you go into the Vanny mode, it doesn't teleport you. It kind of like pushes you down into another section.
I enjoyed the ruin strats, you know, when you'd put the mask on and then it'd transport you, and you could use that to like glitch through the walls or whatever, because you'd switch in between the two different environments. They were quite fun actually to skip, and then obviously a lot of them got patched, but on release,
Yeah,
very fun.
sad.
And
They were fun, though.
do people do Help Wanted 2 as well? Because I've not seen anyone do it, but then again, I'm a little out of the loop on it. Is there strats for Help Wanted 2?
There are. I'm not too familiar with Help Wanted 2, despite me opening up the boards with Grim. We had to do the first runs. So we did it in VR. And then obviously you got flat mode that came out recently, so we've had to do that as well.
Is it different with flat mode, do you think? Is there new strats with flat mode, or is it going to be relatively the same?
I think it's going to be relatively the same, but minus the fact you can clip through things when you're in VR. You can clip through walls by leaning and stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
But
there's a little bit more freedom, I think.
Yeah, I can't see it being that different. But it's quite popular. There's a lot of runs.
When moderating runs, then, what are some of the craziest FNAF submissions you've reviewed, and more broadly sort of outside of FNAF as well? So we'll take like an example from FNAF and other games as well.
Oh, well, I haven't really had any problems with other games, but with FNAF it's been insane. I've had people submit Rick rolls, just the song music video. I've had people impersonate other people. I've had someone submit a video with my run, and it has my face cam in it and everything. We've had.
Are they like a fan of yours, or is this just a random?
I have no idea, but they've submitted. I know the person. They have submitted 4 runs with my face in it. Four runs.
Just after the first time, so. I'm hoping that they weren't verified, right? They weren't turned away.
Absolutely not. Because my run was already there on the board.
Great. So that's crazy. Imagine just, I'm just going to sit down and moderate some runs, and then you just see yourself and you're like, oh.
I was like, hang on a minute, I don't remember this.
And do you like that sort of stuff? So is it a breath of fresh air when someone sends in a troll video, or do you start to get a bit annoyed after a while? What's the deal with that?
Well, when SB first opened the boards, we had hundreds of runs. Majority of them claiming to be other people. So we had people impersonating Speezy, Spiff, myself. So I was like, this is cool, but it's getting a bit tedious now. Like, why is there so many people doing it? We had people. There was one where someone died, and then they teleported in the game, and they claimed that they beat the game in a minute.
I always see stuff like that, and then there's stuff like where it will quote unquote lag, and then they'll like glitch through a wall or something like that, and or they'll cut like the footage. They'll just cut it, and then they'll spawn in somewhere else, or they'll press pause and then unpause, then they're in a different place magically.
Splicing. That's why we have our custom software that Breezy, the old head mod of SB, made for us. It's actually a mod. He's actually a developer for Call of Duty now, which is kind of crazy.
Wow.
But he made a custom tool for us to count frames, so we can count every single frame to see where there's a splice, how much time is being lost, how much time we have to take out. It's kind of tedious when we have to count every single frame off a video.
But of course, you'd rather have it all sort of verified and make sure everything's right before you go and give someone like a world record or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so if like Easy and Spiff, if we never saw the rise of creators in the speedrun community and also sort of FNAF, like bridging the gap, I guess, how would FNAF look like in speedrunning? Like, do you think it would have taken off as it did, or taken off with obviously different creators, or just sort of not at all? Do you reckon that there exists a world where FNAF speedrunning maybe doesn't exist within sort of security breach and everything like that.
I think if Speezy didn't make that video of where you can beat the game in 16 minutes, I don't think Spiff would have jumped on. I don't think I would have jumped on. I don't think Mutant would have jumped on. I think the game would have been broken still. I don't think it would have been fixed as quick. I think these big creators that got big during the FNAF SB, like Rise, like hype, if that didn't happen, I don't think the game would be as broken as it is today. Or, well, was as broken. So,
yeah.
Because no one would have been documenting the stuff. Like, I know Spiff was speedrunning Little Nightmares, Poppy Playtime at the time. He was quite known for that. I was doing Star Wars. Speezy was doing lots of stuff still.
It would certainly be sort of something that Spiff might try then if Spiff was doing Poppy and this, that, and the other. Mm-hmm. Oh, what there's certainly a chance because of security breach, he might have found something and then go, actually,
this game is just as broken.
Yeah,
as Poppy Playtime.
Yeah. Let's everyone do this. So, I mean, in the game's state, even though it wouldn't have been fixed as quickly because it was just so broken, my personal take is that it would always sort of be something that would be like popular with speedrunning because of just how broken it was. But I suppose that's a good thing because, again, with sort of without it, I don't even think the game would be as popular as it is. Speedrunning has definitely helped it take off that little bit more. And as you say, like you was playing Star Wars, and other people would be playing like other different games and maybe not even in horror at all. Like, so it was not only big for the game but big for the genre as well, and attracted so many people just because the game was a broken mess, really.
Yeah.
So.
And it went on to, obviously loads of people made fan games before SB, but then we started getting other games like Indigo Park, those mascot type horror games that took inspiration from SB's gameplay like loop. And we've got fan games speedrun boards on SRC as well.
Yeah,
so,
I remember speedrunning Glitched Attraction when that was when that first came out. That was quite a fun one to speedrun. When you go through all the different escape rooms, and there'd be some skips here and there, and that's why the developers Powerline like ended up releasing so many patches. But yeah, so fan games are a good one as well, and I think it helps the devs, to be honest with you. Just they can identify where things are broken really and go back and fix. So speedrunning does a lot, doesn't it? It helps the game, helps the developers. It's brilliant, and yeah, it attracts so many people. So as a speedrunner then, how do you go about finding new skips? What is the process? Is it just a case of jumping around, mashing buttons, or anything like that? So if a new FNAF game was to come out right now, what would be the first sort of thing you would do? Would you just start running at corners of walls and spamming X or jump or whatever? What would you do to find a skip?
What I personally do is I would play the game inside and out how you are intended to play it, first of all. While doing that, I'd try to find the easiest mode of transportation or movement. So like combos and jumping, crouching, sprinting and stuff. Yeah. To find out what is the most like cost efficient way of getting across a game. I would then use those combos in places that people wouldn't try to. So say for example the daycare. We would jump in and sprint in on all sorts of stuff in there. We did it behind the desk, found out you can actually jump on the save point from the computer desk to the filing cabinets, to the chair, then to the cupboard, and then onto the save point so you can jump over the invisible barrier so the enemies don't spawn in. Well, or you can skip a cutscene. And we would then take this type of thinking to like, okay, cool, there's invisible walls. we'll keep that in mind. There's invisible walls everywhere. They can be overcome. So we got to find a way over the invisible wall. How can you do that?
Right.
You can try jumping on polygons, like 1 pixels, which is where you would jump in a corner to see if the developers have left. So you're looking at this like pixels like that. Sometimes they might not put it flush, so then it's just pointing out a little bit. So that's a tiny pixel that you could jump on. So we use that called wedge jump, or curtain climb for a very famous one in the speedrun, where we were jumping on polygons until we got out of bounds through the ceiling, and then we'd fall onto invisible floors. Then we would deload and load into the atrium or other sections, because the game doesn't load the entire thing at the same time. It loads in sections, which is why we have those corridors in SB where there'll be nothing behind it or before it. That's why you get lots of lag spikes in those points, because it's trying to load stuff in and take things out behind you. So we would use this method of thinking and be like, okay, cool, so we know the next place isn't loaded in, but we know roughly where that location is. So if we can get above the loads, and then we can find a floor or some section of the map where there is no collision, we can fall through and land where we need to be. And we would do that for every part of the game. We would go and do it everywhere. And I use the same type of thinking for other games I speedrun.
But do people still find new skips now then? Because obviously Security Breach is a big game, and it must have taken you guys quite a long time to find all these new splits and do the method as you're saying. But is there unexplored skips, do you think, or is there everything sort of patched now?
A lot of stuff is patched, but when there's new patches, they always mess something up with what they've already patched. So
would you go back and do it all again? So let's say they released a patch now. Would you go back and retest everything that you did test? So again, go about all the map and do those wedge jumps and things. Would you go and do that all again, or would you just leave it and go, there's no way that they've unpatched this?
That's exactly what I do. or like we do. Ace Delusional would do that a lot.
Yeah.
He's no longer a moderator, but he's still present in the community. But we would go and test everything. So we have a document of all the skips that we have, and we would put them into sections to see which ones work on what categories. So you got NMS, OOB, any percent, skipless. So we would put them as what is allowed and what, if they're working. It's a long process, and I don't like to do it. So that's why the whole team splits it up into doing stuff. Because it's long. I work jobs, man.
Who makes the rules of these categories then? Is it you? Do you have a discussion like within the group, or what's the process there?
So before I joined the team with a second wave of verifiers to be brought on, because the previous mods and stuff, a lot of them left, and it was when Breezy took over, and he took me on along with some other familiar faces in the speedrunning community. And me and Cloud, I think, the longest ones to stay. I'm now the owner of the speedrunning Discord and page for SB, so it's essentially my say now, but I like to have it as a collective. So I like to ask everyone's opinions. I like to ask the verifiers. They can't even verify their own runs. They have to wait for us to do it. So I want everyone to be involved. I want everyone to make it fair, because if it was just me, it'd be a dictatorship, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. You can do this. You can't do this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. But yeah, it's nice that you get everyone's opinion and everyone on board, because it's do people. Does anyone ever like disagree, or
Oh yeah.
does anyone ever come up with some better rules? Like how is it? Is it just sort of, do you want to do this? Yes, no, or is it, oh, that's a pretty good idea. We'll do that. So have you had any good ideas from others that you sort of implemented, and sort of what are those ideas?
So I'm not a massive fan of any percent OOB and inbounds, which are categories.
So, hold on. Just for the viewers, what are those categories?
So any
Just
percent,
to clear it up.
any percent is where you can use whatever means of playing the game to complete the game as quick as you can. OOB is not using hardware-based stuff, but you can still go out of bounds. Inbounds, you can't deload and stuff. Like, you have to stay in the playable area. No major skips is you do the game as intended as possible, using some skips that don't take over 30 seconds to do. Skipless, use no skips whatsoever. So
Which one's the most popular, would you say, out of all those?
OOB.
Probably any. Oh, I was going to say any percent, because you can just do sort of.
You see, for any percent, you need to have a terrible PC for you actually to get good times, because majority of the run is you paused. Because you need to have terrible specs for the game to take longer to load, so you can run somewhere faster without it loading in. So you're running through the whole map, and then you pause for like, what, 20 seconds, and then you just spawn in. It's nuts.
Yeah. So am I right in saying there's different categories for console to PC, right?
Yeah, this is actually something I fought for a lot in the first week of the game. So we found out there is skips that are not present on console that are present on PC. The previous team didn't want to add this, so I made it my mission to be like, yo, have you seen how many PlayStation runners there are? We can't get on the same level as PC players. PC players were getting like 6 minutes times at that time, while console was stuck at like 16 minutes. So that's a 10-minute difference. We couldn't do anything at that time to get faster. Now we can do it in like 3 minutes.
Because I think I was watching you on PlayStation, am I right, Ruin? But
Yep.
Yeah, I'm glad I got that right, because that was a bit of a guess. It was a while ago. And I was seeing your times, and obviously they were really, really good times. And then the PC, there was like skips that you could do on that, which weren't on PlayStation. And it was just a bit mad, really, like how... So is there different verifiers for the different platforms, or is it sort of all the same team for PC and PlayStation? And how is everyone like well educated on the differences, and do they judge that accordingly?
So we have the same verifiers and moderators and supermods for the whole board. So this is for Switch.
Right.
I know they had it on the Switch. This is for Switch, Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. And we actually have a document. We have a whole document on how to read time runs. If people really, really want to do it themselves, we go over it anyway. But if people are wanting to become a mod or verifier, they would read this doc, get to know it and stuff, and it helps refresh us as well, because the rules change. The rules have changed a lot in 4 years now. 3 years. No, 2020. It was 2020 again, really, isn't it? So what's 4 years? No, 3 years. 3 years. Sorry.
3 years.
Yeah. So the rules have changed a lot. So we've got a lot of audits in this document, like rule sheet, that we have to follow, and everyone is pretty aware of what to do. If they have any problems, they can ask anyone in the server, or they can just go to the page they need to in the document. The document's like 114 pages.
How is the steps up to becoming a mod, and how do you actually sort of achieve that?
So we would assume that you've played the game and know the game quite a lot to become an SB mod. But we have a document or a form you can put in, and you can list out how many hours you've got, what runs you know how to do, what runs you'd be interested in verifying. We would put this all into consideration. I think we have about 180 applicants right now.
That's crazy.
I know, but that's all the way from 2021, so some people might not even want to do it anymore. But we look at who's best suited for what. We've got a whole team for Ruin, we've got a whole team for SB. We're good at the moment because the game isn't super popular anymore, because the hype has died down. But hopefully when into the pit releases, it should be good. We should be getting some more people.
And that's one of my questions, but I'm gonna bring it up the list right now. So, do you think that FNAF's new Into the Pit game will have speedrun potential? And if so, is it something that you're gonna look into moderating?
Yes. It's definitely gonna be. It's definitely gonna have speedrun potential. Those games like that, there's always some sort of silly, like exploits. To a point where enemies won't even attack you and stuff, but it looks more like a hide and seek game where you have to evade the enemies as opposed to being able to fight back. I could be wrong, I don't know, but
I've got no idea. I've seen Bonnie flossing on the stage, and I'm just like,
I saw that and I was like, my god, what is going on? Does that mean Fortnite is canon?
False percent.
But
So
I have already made a channel for it, Into the Pit.
it's already happening.
It's already happening. As soon as the release date is announced, the board on SRC will be made.
Do you think it's going to be under 3 minutes or whatever crazy thing that Security Breach was? Do you think it's going to be that short?
Nah.
It's hard to say really, because it could be a short game.
It could be, but I don't think it's going to be on the AAA level. I think it's going to be more so indie game speed. So I want to say in between 10 and 20 minutes will be the one with glitches. With no glitches, yeah. I'm hoping it'll be about an hour.
Yeah.
You know.
So.
But yeah, no, it's already been made. I've already discussing it with Blood, who is another. He's an overall FNAF moderator, so for all the games, including SB.
If someone was wanting to get into speedrunning, what's your top 5 tips that you'd give them for runs? What would you say? So, new person wants to get into speedrunning, 5 things you'd say to them.
I'd say don't worry about other people's times. You know, you progress in skill based on repetition and your own experience. So I'd say take your time, try to enjoy the game, and don't compare yourself to others. I know that's what I did a lot. When I started doing Wind Waker, I'd be like, oh, this guy's doing the skip really quickly, I can't do it, it's making me feel bad. Blah, blah, blah. So I learned very hard, you know, trying to compare myself to other people that I'm not as good as them. So don't compare yourself to other people, because people spend years and years playing these games while you might just be coming to it. You know,
yeah.
You'll get there, but it's going to take time and dedication. I'd also say use live split and keep a track of all your times so you can see where you're losing time and where you're gaining time, and then you can see a sum of best. So the best time you've done each segment in a run or previous runs, you can see exactly what your quickest time possible is that you are capable of doing. That's a good way to give yourself a little bit of motivation. You see the little plus, you see the rainbow, you're like, yeah, I'm doing sick. But then don't feel disheartened when one time your run might have 5 seconds slower on a split, because you might gain 20 seconds on the next one. It's good to like have that sort of mentality.
Yeah, definitely.
I'd also say don't pick a game that is close to you. I speedrun Simpsons Hit and Run. It's a game that I loved growing up. It's so good. I played it all the time, and now that I speedrun it, I can't stand it. I can't stand the game. I'd be like, oh no, I could have done that quicker. It doesn't look as cool. I could have done this. I could have done that. And I'm not sitting there enjoying it, playing it casually. I'm sitting there trying to beat a time, just without the time being present. So pick a game
Is that something you struggle with? Like, I know when you take on the speedrunning way of life, do you sort of struggle to just sit back and play games normally?
I do, definitely. I've become very impatient with games that require you to concentrate, such as the new Hellblade game, Hellblade 2, which just released on Xbox. Majority of it is story-based. There's not a lot of gameplay. I was getting bored.
I've got an idea.
Because
speedrunners, you should all get in a call and just play the slowest game ever. And
Oh, don't say that.
see how much you rage.
That Mayo game where you just click. Oh man, I'd somehow still get annoyed that I'm not doing it quick enough. I'd also pick a game that you know you'll be able to play a lot. So because I knew I was going to play SB a lot. Because it's a Metroidvania, it's open worldy and stuff. So I was like, yeah, I'm definitely going to be playing this a lot. It's not a game that is dear to my heart because I've never played it. So I went into it with speedrunning in mind. Not with a game to make me enjoy it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Not like a Dorco reaction. Oh my god. The glamrock animatronics. Oh, music.
I watched the trailer. I watched the trailer, I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Dorco watches the trailer.
Yeah, that's cool.
Completely different.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I was hyped, but I knew what I was going into this game to do, and that was to break it. It looked broken in the trailer.
Yeah, and it looked so different in the trailer, I think, as well. Especially in the even in the later trailers, there was some people.
I wanted to see the sewer bit where you're running.
Yeah.
I wanted to see that bit.
Yeah, and,
you know, but no,
whatever happens to you will both burn. This, that, and the other. There was the sewer bit. There was.
I didn't see the daycare attendants like dancing on top of the daycare stuff. What the hell?
Yeah. The daycare attendant having like some completely different textures as well, and Vanessa's model were wildly different. So.
Oh yeah.
And that wasn't even that long before release as well. So I imagine the last month was just doing stuff like that, like switching models of things, and obviously that might be why it released how it did.
I've got something to say.
You've got something to say.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
With the announcement of Into the Pit and the release date coming this year,
Okay.
myself and the SB mod team are hosting a little giveaway.
Oh.
Yeah. For a copy of Into the Pit.
Okay.
We will be posting details on the little challenge. It will be based around Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach, and it will be based around OOB or any %. Depends which one is more popular, but it will be after ending, and it is whoever in this allotted time can get the quickest time will be winning a free copy of Into the Pit. Yep, I will be posting updates on Twitch, YouTube, and the official Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach and Five Nights at Freddy's Speedrunning server for this.
And
as well,
the handle for the Twitch and the YouTube, or
the Louie Copeland.
yeah.
The Louie Copeland
All right.
on Twitch and on YouTube.
How much do you reckon Into the Pit's going to be though?
I have no idea, but I know it's going to be releasing this year.
Because if it's free,
If it's free, everyone's winning a copy.
if it's free, you're all winners. But go and speedrun Security Breach anyway. Take part in the competition.
You'll get a copy of Help Wanted. There you go. Help Wanted too.
Brilliant.
I can't imagine it'd be free though.